Learn to enjoy every minute of your life. Be happy now. Carl Jung. You wake up tomorrow morning, and for the first time in years, you feel content. Not because everything is perfect, not because you've achieved all your goals, but because you've learned something profound, something that the great psychologist Carl Jung spent his entire life trying to teach us. You see, most of us live our lives waiting for Friday, waiting for vacation, waiting for retirement, waiting for that moment when we can finally be happy. But what if I told you that this waiting is the very thing stealing your joy? Today we're going on a journey, exploration into one of Carl Jung's most transformative insights: how to enjoy every single minute of your life, and how to be happy now, not someday, not when conditions are perfect, but right now. Learn to enjoy every minute of your life. Be happy now. Carl Jung. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you'll never look at happiness the same way again. But before we dive deep, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. This journey we're about to take together requires your full attention, and I promise it'll be worth every second. Now, let's begin. Part 1, the happiness trap. Let me ask you something honest. When was the last time you felt truly, genuinely happy? Not excited about something coming up, not relieved that something bad ended, but present, alive, and content with exactly where you are? If you're struggling to answer that question, you're not alone. In fact, you're part of a global epidemic that Carl Jung predicted almost a century ago. Carl Jung once said, "The greatest tragedy of the human condition is not that we suffer. It is that we suffer unnecessarily, because we're asleep to the present moment." Think about that. Unnecessarily. We live in the most advanced civilization in human history. We have technology that our ancestors couldn't even dream of. We have medicine that can cure diseases that once wiped out entire populations. We have food, shelter, and entertainment at our fingertips. And yet, we're more depressed, more anxious, and more disconnected from happiness than ever before. Studies show that rates of depression have increased by 300% in the last 2 decades. Anxiety disorders affect over 280 million people worldwide. And suicide rates? They've been climbing steadily year after year. Why? Why, with all our progress, are we so unhappy? Jung understood something fundamental about human psychology that modern society has forgotten. He called it the postponement of joy. We've been conditioned by our culture, our education system, our media, to believe that happiness is a destination. It's something we'll reach after we accomplish something, after we get the degree, after we land the job, after we find the partner, after we buy the house, after we retire. But here's the trap, and Jung saw this clearly. By the time we reach one goal, we've already created another. The finish line keeps moving. The goalposts shift. And we spend our entire lives chasing a mirage, running on a treadmill that never stops. Jung said, "The shoe that fits one person pinches another. There is no recipe for living that suits all cases." Translation? The cookie-cutter formula for happiness that society sells us, work hard, achieve success, consume more, doesn't work. It can't work, because true happiness isn't found in external achievements. It's found in something much more radical, much more accessible, and much more profound: the present moment. And learning to enjoy every single minute of your life, not just the highlight reel, but all of it, requires us to understand something Jung called the integration of the self. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. First, we need to understand why we struggle so much with the present moment. And that brings us to the shadow. Part 2, the shadow, your hidden obstacle to happiness. One of Carl Jung's most revolutionary concepts was something he called the shadow. He described it as the part of ourselves that we refuse to see, the aspects of our personality that we've repressed, denied, or hidden away because they don't fit the image we want to present to the world. And here's the kicker: your shadow is the #1 reason you can't enjoy the present moment. Let me explain. From the time we're children, we learn what's acceptable and what's not. Maybe you learned that anger is bad, so you pushed it down. Maybe you learned that vulnerability is weakness, so you built walls. Maybe you learned that wanting attention is selfish, so you became invisible. Whatever it was, you took parts of yourself, real, valid parts, and you locked them in a basement of your psyche. You created a shadow? Jung said, everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. Now here's where this connects to happiness and enjoying every moment. Your shadow doesn't just disappear. It's constantly working beneath the surface, creating resistance, generating anxiety, and preventing you from being fully present. Think about it. Have you ever been in a beautiful moment? Maybe a sunset, a dinner with friends, a quiet morning, and suddenly, out of nowhere, you feel uneasy, anxious, like you should be doing something else? That's your shadow speaking. It's the voice that says, you don't deserve to relax. You haven't worked hard enough. If you slow down, you'll lose your edge. Something bad is going to happen. You can't let your guard down. Everyone else is doing more than you. These thoughts don't come from nowhere. They come from the parts of yourself you've disowned. And until you integrate them, until you shine light on your shadow, you'll never be able to fully inhabit the present moment. Jung spent years encouraging people to do what he called shadow work. He believed that becoming conscious of your shadow was essential not just for psychological health, but for spiritual wholeness. He said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. So how do you do this? How do you integrate your shadow so you can enjoy every minute of life? Step 1. Notice your triggers. When do you feel most uncomfortable, angry, or judgmental? Those moments are arrows pointing directly at your shadow. If someone's confidence irritates you, maybe you've repressed your own desire to be seen. If laziness in others triggers you, maybe you've denied your own need for rest. Step 2. Dialogue with it. Jung was a big proponent of active imagination, literally, having conversations with parts of yourself. Journal from the perspective of your shadow. Ask it, what do you need? What am I afraid of? What are you protecting me from? Step 3. Integrate, don't eliminate. This is crucial. Shadow work isn't about getting rid of the bad parts. It's about accepting them, understanding them, and integrating them into your whole self. Your anger might become healthy boundaries. Your neediness might become healthy connection. Your pride might become healthy confidence. When you integrate your shadow, something miraculous happens. You stop fighting yourself. And when you stop fighting yourself, you can finally be present. You can enjoy the moment because you're not constantly battling internal demons you refuse to acknowledge. This is the first key to enjoying every minute of your life. Know thyself, including the parts you'd rather ignore. But there's another obstacle Jung identified, something even more pervasive in modern life. The tyranny of the persona. Part 3, the persona. The mask stealing your joy. While the shadow is what we hide from ourselves, the persona is what we show to everyone else. Jung described the persona as the mask we wear in society, the role we play to fit in, to be accepted, to survive in the social world. And here's the problem. Most of us have become so identified with our persona that we've forgotten who we actually are underneath the mask. You're the successful professional. You're the perfect parent. You're the reliable friend. You're the independent one. You're the funny one. You're the strong one. These roles aren't inherently bad. We need personas to function in society. But Jung warned that when we over-identify with our persona, when we believe we are the mask, we lose touch with our authentic self. And when you're disconnected from your authentic self, every moment feels hollow. Let me share something personal. For years, I played the role of the person who has it all together. That was my persona. I was the one people came to for advice, for stability, for answers. And on the surface, it worked. People liked me. I was successful. I checked all the boxes. But inside, I was exhausted. Because I couldn't enjoy a single moment of my life. Every interaction was a performance. Every conversation was managed. Every emotion was filtered through. What would the person who has it all together feel right now? I had lost the ability to just B. Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Think about that. The privilege. Not the reward for hard work. Not the result of achievement. The privilege, meaning it's available to you right now, in this moment, if you choose it. But choosing it means doing something terrifying, letting the persona drop. Even just a little bit, even just sometimes. It means admitting you don't have all the answers. It means showing vulnerability. It means saying, I don't know, or I'm struggling, or I need help. It means being imperfect, messy, and real. And here's what Jung discovered. When you do this, when you stop performing and start being, life immediately becomes more vivid, more colorful, more enjoyable. Why? Because authentic presence is inherently pleasurable. When you're being yourself, you're not burning energy maintaining an image. You're not constantly monitoring and adjusting. You're just here. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but I can't just drop my persona. I have responsibilities. I have a job, a family, social obligations. And you're right. Jung never advocated for complete abandonment of the persona. That would be social suicide and, frankly, irresponsible. What he advocated for was conscious relationship with your persona. Know when you're wearing the mask. Know why you're wearing it. And most importantly, know when to take it off. Create sacred spaces in your life. Moments, places, relationships where the persona can rest. Where you don't have to be anything for anyone. Where you can exist as your raw, unfiltered self. For some people, that's meditation. For others, it's nature. For many, it's creative expression. Art, music, writing, where the persona has no jurisdiction. Jung himself found this in his stone carving and painting. He spent hours at his tower in Bollingen, Switzerland, where he could drop the persona of famous psychiatrist and just be Carl, a man playing with stones and paint like a child. Here's your second key to enjoying every minute. Create space for authenticity. Schedule it. Protect it. Honor it like you would any important appointment. Because those moments, those persona-free moments, are where real joy lives. But there's still one more crucial element Jung taught us about happiness. And this one might surprise you. Part 4. Embracing the totality, the yin and yang of life. One of the most difficult truths Carl Jung tried to teach was this. You cannot enjoy every minute of life if you're constantly running from half of it. We live in a culture obsessed with positivity. Good vibes only. Choose happiness. Manifest your dreams. And while positive thinking has its place, Jung understood something deeper. Life is not just light. It's light and dark, joy and sorrow, birth and death. Jung was heavily influenced by Eastern philosophy, particularly the concept of yin and yang. He understood that opposing forces aren't enemies, they're complementary. They complete each other. He said, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. And also, the word happiness would lose its meaning if it were not balanced by sadness. Think about this. If you've never been cold, warm means nothing. If you've never been hungry, a good meal is just fuel. If you've never felt sad, happiness is just baseline. The depth of your joy is directly proportional to your capacity to embrace sorrow. But here's what we do instead. We bifurcate life. We label experiences as good or bad. And we spend all our energy trying to maximize the good and eliminate the bad. We numb ourselves when we feel sad. We distract ourselves when we feel anxious. We shame ourselves when we feel angry. We medicate, scroll, shop, drink, work, anything to avoid the negative emotions. And in doing so, we cut ourselves off from half of life. We become half alive. Jung observed that many of his patients, especially the successful ones, came to him feeling empty. They had everything society said they should want, and yet they felt nothing. Why? Because they had become so skilled at avoiding discomfort that they'd also numbed themselves to real joy. You can't selectively numb. When you close yourself off to darkness, you close yourself off to light. When you refuse to feel pain, you also become unable to feel pleasure. Jung's solution? What he called the transcendent function, the ability to hold both opposites simultaneously without choosing one or destroying the other. This is the secret to enjoying every minute of life, not by making every moment pleasant, but by being fully present with every moment, pleasant or not. Let me give you a practical example. Imagine you lose someone you love. The grief is overwhelming. Now you have two choices. Choice one, run from it. Distract yourself. Stay positive. They wouldn't want you to be sad. Push it down. Stay busy, keep moving. Result? The grief doesn't go away. It goes underground. It becomes your shadow. And for years, maybe decades, you'll feel a hollow space inside you, a numbness you can't quite explain. Every moment will have a gray filter over it. Choice two, feel it, fully, completely. Let the grief move through you like a wave. Cry until you can't cry anymore. Scream, write, remember, honor it. Result? The grief transforms. It doesn't disappear. Love doesn't disappear, but it integrates. It becomes part of your story, part of your depth. And when it passes, joy feels like sunrise after the longest night. Every moment is vivid again, precious, alive. This is what Jung meant by enjoying every minute. Not that every minute will be fun, but that every minute can be fully lived. The bitter makes the sweet sweeter. The darkness makes the light brighter. The sorrow makes the joy more precious. Jung wrote, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. And what you choose to become starts with what you choose to feel." All of it, the full spectrum. Here's your third key. Stop running from half of life. When difficulty comes, and it will come, don't immediately reach for the escape hatch. Instead, ask yourself Jung's question. What does this situation want from me? What is this trying to teach me? Because every difficult moment is an opportunity for consciousness. Every challenge is an invitation to grow. Every negative emotion carries information, wisdom, energy. The goal isn't happiness. The goal is wholeness. And wholeness includes everything, the light and the dark, the joy and the sorrow, the beginning and the end. When you can hold it all, you can enjoy it all. Not because it's all pleasant, but because it's all real. And reality, full, complete, unfiltered reality, is where true satisfaction lives. But how do we actually practice this in our daily lives? How do we take Jung's profound insights and make them practical? That's what we're going to explore next. Part 5, Practical Jungian Practices for Daily Happiness. Theory is beautiful. Philosophy is inspiring. But let's get practical. How do you actually apply Jung's wisdom to enjoy every minute of your everyday life? Let me share 7 practices that Jung used himself and recommended to his patients. Practices that can transform your relationship with the present moment starting today. Practice 1, active imagination. Jung discovered that one of the most powerful ways to integrate the psyche was through what he called active imagination. Essentially, a dialogue with your unconscious. Here's how you do it. Set aside 15 minutes. Sit comfortably. Close your eyes and ask your unconscious a question. What do I need to know today? Or what part of me needs attention? Then, without forcing it, let images, feelings, or thoughts arise. Don't analyze them yet. Just observe. Maybe a childhood memory appears. Maybe a symbolic image. Maybe a voice. Then, and this is the key, engage with it. Have a conversation. If an angry figure appears, ask, "Why are you angry? What do you need?" If a sad child appears, ask, "What happened to you? How can I help?" This practice does something remarkable. It brings unconscious content into consciousness. It integrates your shadow. It dissolves the barriers between parts of yourself. And when you're more integrated, you're more present, more able to enjoy the moment without internal warfare. Practice 2, dream journaling. Jung called dreams the royal road to the unconscious. He actually stole that from Freud, but he took it further. Keep a journal by your bed. The moment you wake up, before you check your phone, before you move, write down whatever you remember from your dreams. Don't worry about interpreting them immediately. Just record them. Over time, patterns emerge. Your psyche is constantly trying to communicate with you, and dreams are its language. Jung noticed that when people paid attention to their dreams, they became more attuned to the symbolic layer of life, the deeper meanings beneath surface events. And this attunement makes every moment richer, more mysterious, more interesting. Life stops being mundane and becomes mythic. Practice 3. Solitude rituals. Jung was adamant about the necessity of solitude, not loneliness, but chosen sacred aloneness. He built his famous tower specifically for this purpose, a place where he could retreat from social roles and reconnect with his authentic self. You need this too. Schedule it. Protect it, even if it's just 20 minutes a day. And during this time, do nothing productive. Don't improve yourself. Don't work on goals. Just be. Watch birds. Listen to rain. Stare at the ceiling. Let your mind wander. This practice resets your relationship with the present moment. It reminds you that you don't always have to be doing something to have value. You can simply exist, and existence itself, when fully felt, is pleasurable. Practice 4. Shadow integration exercises. We talked about shadow work earlier. Here's how to practice it daily. Every evening, ask yourself, what triggered me today? What did I judge in others? What emotion did I try to avoid? Then flip it. What might that trigger reveal about my shadow? What part of myself am I not accepting? If you judge someone for being lazy, maybe you're not allowing yourself rest. If you were triggered by someone's neediness, maybe you're denying your own need for connection. If someone's success irritated you, maybe you're not acknowledging your own ambition. This practice is uncomfortable, but discomfort is the admission price for consciousness. And consciousness is the admission price for joy. Practice 5. Symbolic living. Jung believed that modern people had lost touch with symbolism, and with it, lost touch with the soul. He encouraged people to engage with symbols, rituals, and meaningful objects. Create an altar with objects that represent different parts of your life. Light a candle when you transition from work to personal time. Wear something that reminds you of a quality you're cultivating. Cook meals with intention, turning food preparation into ritual. These practices might seem trivial, but they're not. They root you in the present moment. They add layers of meaning to ordinary activities. When you live symbolically, every moment becomes sacred, and sacred moments are inherently enjoyable. Practice 6. Nature immersion. Jung was clear. Nature is not optional for psychological health. It's essential. He wrote, "In all chaos there is a cosmos. In all disorder a secret, order." And he believed we could reconnect with this order through nature. Make time for nature. Not checking it off a list. Not exercising through it with earbuds in. But truly being with it. Touch the bark of trees. Feel the temperature of water. Smell the earth. Listen to wind. Nature operates on present moment awareness. Trees aren't worried about tomorrow. Rivers aren't replaying yesterday. They simply are. And when you spend time with them, their presence becomes contagious. You remember how to just be. Practice 7. Creative expression. Finally, Jung believed that creative expression was absolutely essential for psychological wholeness. He himself painted, carved stone, and wrote extensively, not for an audience, but for his soul. Find your medium. It doesn't matter what it is. The quality doesn't matter. The product doesn't matter. What matters is the process, the act of bringing internal imagery into external form. When you create, you're in conversation with your unconscious. You're integrating. You're becoming whole. And wholeness, that integration of all parts of yourself, is the foundation of enjoying every minute of life. These 7 practices aren't meant to be homework. They're meant to be experiments. Try them, see what resonates. Adapt them to your life. Because here's the truth Jung understood. Psychology isn't just theory. It's a living practice. It's how you show up each day, how you meet yourself, how you engage with reality. And when you practice showing up, really showing up, something shifts. The moments you used to rush through become moments you savor. The experiences you used to avoid become experiences you're curious about. The life you used to tolerate becomes the life you enjoy, every single minute. But there's one final piece to this puzzle, one last insight from Jung that ties everything together. Part 6, individuation, the ultimate path to enjoyment. Everything we've discussed, shadow work, persona awareness, embracing totality, all of it points toward what Carl Jung considered The central task of human life. Individuation. Individuation is Jung's term for the process of becoming your complete, authentic self. Not the self society wants you to be. Not the self your parents expected. Not the self you think you should be. Your actual self. Whole, integrated, unique. And here's the connection to enjoying every minute of life. When you're not individuated, when you're living as a collection of personas, shadows, and unconscious patterns, you're constantly at war with yourself. Part of you wants one thing, another part wants something else. You're pulled in different directions. Never fully committed to any moment because you're never fully yourself. But when you're individuating, when you're on the path toward wholeness, something profound happens. You start to trust yourself. You trust your decisions because they come from your whole self, not just your persona. You trust your emotions because you've integrated your shadow. You trust your path because it's your path, not someone else's. And when you trust yourself, you stop second-guessing every moment. You stop wondering if you should be somewhere else. Doing something else, being someone else. You're here, now, fully, and that is the secret to enjoying every minute. Jung wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But he also wrote, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." Because individuation isn't comfortable. It requires you to disappoint people who expected you to stay the same, release identities you've outgrown, face parts of yourself you've avoided, make choices that don't make sense to others, stand alone sometimes. It's not easy. But Jung promised something. The reward for becoming yourself is that life itself becomes rewarding. When you're being your authentic self, even mundane moments shimmer with satisfaction. Why? Because there's no internal resistance, no voice saying you should be different, no energy wasted maintaining a facade. You're just you, and you're here, and that's enough. Jung once had a patient who came to him desperate for happiness. She had everything, wealth, status, family, but felt empty. After months of work, Jung asked her, "Do you remember the last time you felt truly alive?" She remembered being a child, climbing trees, getting dirty, laughing wildly before she learned to be proper. Jung's prescription? Go climb a tree. She thought he was joking, but he was serious. She had abandoned part of herself, the wild, spontaneous part to fit her persona, and until she reclaimed that part, she'd never feel whole. She'd never enjoy life. What part of yourself have you abandoned? What did you love before you learned what you were supposed to love? Who were you before you learned who you were supposed to be? What brings you joy that you've deemed inappropriate or impractical? Individuation means reclaiming those parts, integrating them, allowing yourself to be complex, contradictory, and complete. And when you do that, when you gather all the scattered parts of yourself and welcome them home, life transforms. Not because external circumstances change, but because you're finally present for your own life. You stop living in the past, shadow work. You stop performing for the future, persona awareness. You embrace the present completely, totality. And the present moment, this moment, right now, becomes not something to endure or escape, but something to enjoy. So here we are, 60 minutes later, and maybe you're wondering, what now? How do I actually start? The answer is simpler than you think. You start exactly where you are, right now, this moment. Carl Jung spent his entire life trying to teach us one fundamental truth. The treasure you're seeking is not somewhere else. It's not in the future. It's not locked behind achievement or circumstance. It's inside you. It always has been. The work, the shadow integration, the persona awareness, the embracing of totality. The individuation isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you've always been beneath the layers of conditioning. Jung said, your visions will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes. You're awake now. You've taken the first step simply by being here, by listening, by considering that maybe, just maybe, there's a different way to live. A way where Monday morning isn't something to dread, but something to experience. A way where waiting in line isn't wasted time, but an opportunity to be present. A way where difficult emotions aren't enemies, but teachers. A way where your authentic self isn't something to hide, but something to celebrate. This is what it means to enjoy every minute of your life. Not that every minute will be pleasurable, but that every minute will be lived fully, consciously, authentically. Before we end, I want to give you one practice, just one, to start today. The 1-minute practice. Right now, put down your phone after this video. Find a comfortable spot. Set a timer for 1 minute, just 60 seconds. And for that minute, do absolutely nothing except notice. What do you hear? What do you feel in your body? What temperature is the air? What's your breath doing? Don't judge it. Don't change it. Just notice it. 1 minute, 60 seconds of pure, unadulterated presence. That's it. That's the entire practice. Do this every day. Same time, same place. 1 minute. After a week, maybe it becomes 2 minutes. After a month, maybe 5. The duration doesn't matter. What matters is the practice of coming home to yourself, to this moment, to right now. Because here's what Jung understood and what you're about to discover. The present moment isn't something you have to do anything to enjoy. You just have to be with it. And the more you practice being with it, the more you'll find that joy isn't something you chase. It's something you uncover. It's been there all along. Carl Jung died in 1961, but his wisdom is more relevant now than ever. In a world that's constantly pulling us away from ourselves, toward consumption, comparison, and constant distraction, his message is revolutionary. Come home to yourself. Integrate your shadows. Drop your masks. Embrace the totality of life. Become who you truly are. And in doing so, you'll discover what he discovered. That life, this precious, brief, mysterious life, is not a problem to be solved. It's an experience to be lived, every minute of it. The joyful minutes, the sorrowful minutes, the mundane minutes, the magical minutes, all of it, every single minute. Jung's final words before he died were reportedly, "Let's have a proper talk." He was ready. Ready to meet whatever came next. Ready because he had lived fully, integrated completely, become wholly himself. That's my wish for you, that when your time comes, many, many years from now, you can look back and say, I was here. I was present. I lived every minute. I became myself. Start today. Start now. Start with 1 minute of presence. And watch what happens when you finally, after all this time, come home to yourself. Thank you for spending these 60 minutes with me. If this message resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Leave a comment telling me which practice you're going to try first. And subscribe for more deep dives into the wisdom that can transform your life. Remember, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Go become yourself and enjoy every minute of the journey.